Guys and girls, are you worried about buying a property and stock levels being so low? We've got a bit of a, I don't know if you'd call it a solution, but understanding of the market that we want to explain to you so you don't feel that bad. Stay watching. We'll be back with you in a couple of seconds.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 373. Almost getting to the big 400. Stock levels. It's one of, I think, anyone inside the industry, it's probably the biggest complaint agents are always whinging about. Stock. But how? What does that mean for buyers, Mark? They say it in a different way. They don't sort of use the dialogue stock levels are low. They're just more like, I can't find anything. And they don't know what that means or what indicators they can look at to know if stock levels are low and what does that mean? Because we can go from a buyer's market to a seller's market really quick or vice versa. And as agents, we're constantly looking at stock levels, days on market, triggers.
It's a bit like toilet paper.
Yes. In what way?
Well, everyone was stressing about dunny paper, all sold. Oh my God, nothing on the shelf. And if you're a prospective purchaser buying at the moment, if you're looking at buying a place, you've got that emotion, you've got that concern of stock, but you shouldn't be concerned.
Yeah, because I was bringing up, as we brought up the graph I normally do with market share, days on amount of properties for sale and rental. Everyone knows the graph. I've been tracking it, I think, 5 years now, because there's that balance between the stock levels, days on market. So we're currently sitting on 391 available properties for sale, which was typical this time last year, and then it went up to about that sort of 600. But there was an article and photo you post a couple of days ago, Mark, where DY scored in the top 3. Do you want to go? I think it was on Channel 9. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, so Manly was number 1, DY was number 3 as the fastest selling suburbs in New South Wales. The fastest selling suburbs in New South Wales. But what Michael and I were working out this morning is it's actually not that alarming, because it's still like, this probably sounds a bit weird, but with all due respect, with dunny paper, people weren't using more of it. They were going through the same volume of dunny paper. You just couldn't buy it on the shelf, right? So the same thing's happening with property. People actually aren't consuming and buying more property than they have been previously. Not more, not less. So much fact that you've got that data this morning, Michael, on a couple of particular suburbs.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up days on market. And you made a good point, because we track like the amount of properties that sold last year, and it was relative to the same to the year before. But what we have noticed is days on market. So here's basically the last 10 years of days on market. Let me remove that comment so people can see. And at the highest point, not too long ago, we're talking 19. It was mid-19. You're up to about 48 days on market to where we are now, which is basically around that 20 days. So what that means, the property goes for sale, realestate.com. Most buyers would have 40 days, 6 weeks to look at that property and review it and buy it. Where now we're seeing on average 20. So that means a lot of properties are probably selling within the first week mark, and then you got some that are a little bit longer. So it can be extremely fast, which means buyers have a lot less time to get their head around that property, do their due diligence, even though the same amount of properties sold in half the time, basically. So what does that tell us? What does that mean?
And good morning, Sean. Good morning, Luke. Look, and I think this is a big topic because the problem is that it potentially makes you a little bit anxious about buying. So if you're looking in the market of buying something at the moment, I've got a couple of key clients that are stressing at the moment. I've had conversations with yesterday about it, but what it actually means, and this is where you're at a bar, everyone's chatting about it, and the market's pumping, but guys, it just means you've got to pull your socks up and act faster. It doesn't mean you have to pay silly prices. It doesn't mean you have to get silly about things, but it just means you've got to have your finance in order, great lawyer in order. You're searching, proactive when searching. You're not sort of couch surfing as much anymore. You're out there, you're going through opens, you're making appointments with agents, you're talking to agents, you're making it a job to get a property. So it's, Michael, when days on market compress like this, so does how snappy things go when you're acting as a buyer. It's not like, well, I'll think about it. Nah. You don't have the time.
Correct. And the biggest thing that stops people is their own education. And what Luke says, time to use a buyer's agent. And 100% in times like this, where when you think about why don't people buy when they've got a good lawyer on standby, they've got their finance ready to go. The main thing is that emotion or that uncertainty. You got the two things. Do I like it? And then if you get past that stage, you like it, why aren't you buying it? You're afraid of potentially getting ripped off. You don't know if it's good value. You try and play the game maybe with a few low offers. You take your time, go see some other properties. Now, when days on market compress to what they are now, from 40 days to 10 days, 5 days, and on average just under 20 days, you don't necessarily have that time. So you've got to really educate yourself. So when you see what you like, you know it's good or bad in pricing, or you outsource it. You outsource it to a buyer's agent who has got that experience for you, can basically, you change screens, I think, Mark, let me remove him. You get that buyer's agent there so they can do all the education for you. They can fast track that sort of approval of price and recommendation of the property, and then you can pursue that purchase. Because when days on market compress, people get very annoyed, not necessarily by the price of the property, by getting their lawyer to check the contract and missing out, doing a strata report, paying for it, then missing out on the property. Those things really build up the frustration on buyers, and they're going to come out when days on market get so low. Mark, I was just saying you could use the buyer's agent to help with that education process to speed up your confidence to buy.
That's right. That can you can do it.
Lisa, Luke, can you tell me if Mark's audio? Sorry, Mark, your audio cuts out, but I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody. So, Lisa, Luke, if Mark talks, can you let me know if it cuts out for you guys as well? Go, Mark.
Now, market fitness, you can sell, but tired as that person.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Mark, your audio is no good. It's cutting out for everyone. Out. You're out. Mark's out of the conversation. Just me. How good. No, but the point of today's was arming agents to be aware of the basically on the ground change. Because I'll show you, look at the steep drop. I'll just share. I'll add this to the screen. Basically, in the last few months, it's halved. So some agents are only selling one property a month, 2 properties a month. So they may not be seeing the trend very quickly, days on market. Fortunately, as an agency, we're selling 10, 15 properties a month. So we can see it very quickly, the compression. And Mark and I were saying this data from RP Data is 6 weeks old. We've almost seen days on market drop 20% in 6 weeks. So what's it going to be the next 6 weeks that you need to be prepared for? Sean, just when we're getting into the toilet paper report. but yeah, that's sort of what we're saying. Let your owners know, be proactive. Days on market is a big contributing factor. RP Data give great reports. If you don't have access to RP Data and you're watching this and you want this information, send us a link. I'll get the report too. Also, one thing I've noticed, days on market is shrinking, but so is the vendor discount. Now I'll share this. This is Chrome houses. So what we can tell, the trend of days on market going lower, shorter amount of time, the discount owners give from the price on the property. Now, this price on the property, it grabs it from not always the price is displayed, but when you go to when you go to realestate.com, the agent enters a guide price, which if we've got a property for 1.8 million, we're probably guiding 1.7. So this actually gives the price what it sells. So sometimes it's wrong, but it's consistently wrong because most agents put a lower guide price in. And as you can see now, there's basically no variance from it when there was discounting up to 5% when days on market were at its highest. So if you compare basically 2019 days on market was highest and the discounting was at its highest, up to 5% off. Now days on market at its lowest, the discounting is basically zero. So this is what buyers and also agents need to let their clients know the impacts. Same amount of property selling, but in a different way. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Anything else you try and add on to that, Mark?
No, it's
yeah, your audio is no good.
fantastic. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Michelle, Sean, to have you on. Luke, Lisa, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, legends. And Monday night, 8 o'clock.
See ya.